Hey guys, Princess Murder here, and welcome to another Princess Murder vlog. Let's see. Okay, so I had made a kind of a vlog at one point a couple days ago, and I was like super stressed out when I had made it, and then I got a phone call right in the middle, so you didn't get to hear the whole story, and it was just like really frustrating. So anyways, I'm gonna tell you the story. This vlog actually has a purpose. I know, it's amazing. I'm gonna tell you the story about the yoga mat. So I got a really nice yoga mat, and oh wow, I've got a stand. Okay, so I got a really nice yoga mat when I was out of town in Georgia, and really nice yoga mat. I loved it. I had used it for about a month and a half, and I had decided maybe it would be nice to clean it. I don't know, I sweat on it all the time. It might be a little bit dirty. So I decided to look on the internet and see what are the best ways to clean your yoga mat. And so I go on Reddit, and so people are saying, just put it in the washing machine, it should be fine. And so I'm like, I don't know, that doesn't really sound like a good idea. And then other people are just saying, use like disinfectant wipes or just scrub it down with some soap. So I attempted to scrub it down with soap. I spent like an hour in the shower trying to scrub it and scrub it and scrub it, and it was just like, the yoga mat was soaking in the soap, and it was just a disaster. And so I was like, okay, I'm not dealing with this. I'm just going to put it in the washing machine and hope for the best. So I put it in the washing machine, and I made sure it was like all okay in there. And basically when the cycle was done, I went to go check on my yoga mat, and it was torn to shreds. It was torn to shreds. So basically, Pilates is my thing. I do a lot of Pilates. I work out for at least 4 hours a day doing Pilates and or Zumba. Sometimes both. But that's like the only thing that I really have right now that is a stress reliever, as well as it's getting me in shape, and it's the only thing that I really do for me, and I really enjoy it. So I was really stressed out that my yoga mat is now fucking torn to shreds. Sandy's over there coughing up I don't know what. Anyways, so it's fine. So I tell my mom about the yoga mat, and she said, okay, that's fine, just I'll buy you another yoga mat. And so I was really stressed about that. I didn't get to do my Pilates that day, but she had told me that she'd give me money, and I can go and I'll ride my bike to Target and get myself a new yoga mat. So I was like, oh, that's awesome. So the next day comes, and Mom forgets to leave the money, so I get out my savings, and I ask my mom if, will you pay me back for the yoga mat if I use some of my savings on it? And she's like, yeah, that's fine, that's fine. So I ride my bike to Target, and not even thinking, I took $40, and not even thinking about how I'm going to get back on my bike with a yoga mat. Like, I'm going to have to ride with one arm, or I'm going to have to basically juggle, and I won't be safe. So I see this really nice bag that also matches the yoga mat. The bag is $20, the yoga mat is $30, so I know I'm going to be a little bit over my charge, or whatever. I'm going to be a little bit over $40. So I get to the register, and mind you, like this whole time, like they wouldn't let me leave my bike up at the front, and I don't have bike lock because I don't know why, like it's gone, I can't find it. Anyways, so I'm walking around Target, and I've got this yoga bag, and it goes over your shoulder. It's like a sling, and then you put the yoga bag or the yoga mat inside the yoga bag. And I figured that would be a really good way to get it home, and if I wanted to ever take it anywhere, that would be the way to do it. And it matched. It matched. It was really cute. So I get to the counter, and the lady rings me up, and I'm $9.35 short. And I'm like, okay, well, that's great. Target is about 1.5 miles away, maybe a little bit more. But I like to ride my bike, so it wasn't that big of a deal to have to go home and come back to get whatever else. So I decide that I remember that I have my credit cards in my wallet. So I get my wallet out, and I take out my credit cards, and I'm like, okay, well, I look at the expiration date, because I remember I had got a new credit card in the mail, and I hadn't activated it yet. So I was like, oh God, I really hope that these haven't expired yet. And they were expired, so they were declined, and I was like, okay, well, I'm going to have to ride home. So that was kind of definitely, that was one of the problems. So I decided to take the bag only, and go home and get the rest of my money. So while I'm leaving Target, I'm sitting on the bench and just kind of collecting myself because I was really pissed off that I was short $9. So I get a phone call from my doctor's office, and I've been needing to get blood tests done for a really long time now. And so when I finally went in to get my blood work done, they screwed up my lab sheet, and they put my mom's name but my birthday on there, and they wouldn't let me change the name to my name because my birthday was there, and then my doctor's office was closed. So it was like this whole big extravagant thing that was like a couple days ago, and that fly. Anyways, so the doctor's office called, and they were like, okay, so just tell us which lab you want to go to. And there's a lab on, like, I would have to go to my house, and then it's about a mile to the lab to where I would get my blood drawn. So I was like, okay, just fax all the lab information to the lab, or yeah, fax all the lab information to the lab, and I'll ride my bike there, and I'll be there maybe within the half hour. And so I had already bought my bag, so it's in the basket. I have a bike basket on my bike. That didn't make any sense. So, and I don't know if it's just me, I'm pretty sure other women too, like if you're walking on the street, men will honk or whistle, and that's really irritating to me. It just bothers me. I shouldn't let it get to me, but it really bothers me. And people in California cannot drive. People in Los Angeles cannot drive. So I had like maybe 9 or 10 near-death experiences just on the way to Target. So now I've got to ride back home, get money, and then ride to the lab and get blood test. And I always faint during my blood tests, every single time. Even when I don't look, I turn my face away and I still faint. I don't know what it is. I'll like think of different things, and it's still, I can't take my mind off the fact that they're taking blood out of me, or I don't know if it's the needle. I don't know what it is, but I faint every time. And so I go to the lab knowing that I'm going to faint, and so I spend about half an hour in the lab, and my doctor's office is going back and forth with the lab because they can't fax worth a shit. My doctor's office is really pissing me off lately. So they fax, but it's in 2 different sheets, so the lady doesn't know what she needs to test for. She doesn't know exactly what needs to be done. So she knows that I need blood, so she knows how much blood to take, and so she takes the blood out, and I fainted, so I was there for like another half hour, and Target's open till 9, so I wasn't really worried about that. But I don't know if you have ever fainted, but it's not a comfortable experience. Like you wake up and you kind of forget where you are for a moment, and you get really nauseous. Well, I get really nauseous. I don't know if this is the same experience for everybody, but you get really nauseous and weak. And so when I had finally collected myself, I had a little cup of apple juice to get my blood sugar back up, and I was ready to get back on my bike and go to Target to get my yoga mat. And some of you may know I have anxiety. So at this point, like, with all the faxing and the having to ride back and forth, I was getting really stressed out. And so while I was on the phone with my doctor about the lab tests, and before I had went into the lab, she had told me that she would call in my prescription for one of the anti-anxieties that I take, and to the Target that I was going to get my yoga mat. So I could just go to that Target, get my yoga mat, and get my prescription, and it would be like completely fine. So let's see, where was I? So I had fainted, blah, blah, blah. I get better, and so I'm writing, and I'm still not feeling all too well. Like, my eyes are a little bit glazed over still, and there's a fucking helicopter. Like, I can barely see your eyes glaze over. It's really, I don't know, it's really weird, and so I'm still, like, kind of recovering from the blood drawing. Okay, so anyways. So I'm on my way to Target, and once I get there, I go back, and the lady that I had asked to hold my yoga mat, because it was the only one that I had seen, and it was the only one that matched the yoga bag that I had bought for it, and it was a really nice yoga mat. It's a $30 yoga mat, and I really wanted that mat. It had a cool design, and it was like 3 or 5. It was nice. It was a nice yoga mat. So I'd asked that lady to hold the yoga mat, and she was like, oh, see. And so I was like, okay, it's going to get lost. And so when I get back, oh God, okay, I saved it. Okay, when I get back to Target, I go back to the same lady, and I'm looking for my yoga mat. And she's like, try guest services. So I'm like, okay, guest services, that doesn't make any sense, whatever. So I go to guest services, they don't have my fucking yoga mat. And I'm like, really stressed out. I want my fucking yoga mat. And all this is happening because of the goddamn yoga mat. So I go back into the yoga aisle, and I'm looking for a yoga mat that matched the other one and I thank God, like, I found one and it was like, the packaging was ripped up, and I'm like, I'm not gonna pay $30 for a package that's already ripped up and torn up and just looks horrible. So I look and I finally find a nice yoga mat that was like the one that I had gotten, all wrapped up, and it was in good shape, and it was exactly the one that I had wanted. So I grabbed that, and I go to the pharmacy, and pharmacy, I tell them my name, my birthday, whatever, and they're like, oh, well, we never heard from your doctor's office. So long story short, in the prescriptions, I wasn't able to get my prescription. So at this point, I was extremely, extremely overwhelmed. And I don't know if you've ever had a panic attack, but it's not pleasant. So I got my bike and I was trying to calm myself down, and I get really emotional, and I'm not gonna lie. But I started crying, and so I was sitting at the Target pharmacy bench, and my bike was in front of me, and I had the yoga mat in my arms, and I'm like trying to calm myself down. I'm like, it's just the prescription, you don't have to worry about it. And usually I would take like just one little pill, and I would be fine, and I would calm down, or I would, you know, calm down. But for whatever reason, I was just freaking out, and I tried to call my mom, but she didn't answer her phone, and so I was trying to call my dad and trying to get somebody to calm me down, because I was really, really frustrated with my doctor's office and frustrated with the people at Target, and I had just lost it for that moment. And so I collected myself, and I had left the doctor's office because they were already closed. I had left them a very nasty message that I apologized for the next day, but they understood, because I had a panic attack inside of Target. That sounds so stupid, over a fucking yoga mat and prescription. But yeah, so that was not a really good experience, and it was like a really, really bad day. And so I just get my yoga mat, and I go up to the pharmacy place, and I'm like, can you at least ring me up for my yoga mat, like, please? And they're like, oh, yeah, no problem. Like, they obviously saw that I was clearly upset, like, when I was crying about them not having my prescription, and they knew that it was an anti-anxiety, so they knew that I needed that. And so they had tried to call the office and stuff and whatever, but the doctor's office was closed. It's pointless to try to get a hold of them then. But, so yeah, that's like the whole, I had posted on Twitter, I was like, this is the worst day ever. I finally got a hold of my dad, and my dad came and picked me up, and he was like, what's wrong with you? Like, you're crying over a yoga mat. And I realized, like, yeah, that was really stupid of me. But all the stuff that had led up to it, and I had already been stressed, and I had already fainted that day, and I had already... I mean, having blood drawn for me is really stressful, because I know that I'm going to faint. And having had fainted, I was still not in a good mindset, I guess you could say. But that was, I don't even remember what day I think that was Monday. I don't know. But I had posted on Twitter, I'm like, this is by far the worst day I've ever had, and like all this other stuff. And people are like, what's wrong? And I'm like, it is way too long to tweet. And so I had started recording a vlog about it, but it was that day, and I was still really upset about it. So I decided to do a vlog today, because I haven't done one in a while, and I decided to tell you that story. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the story. I'm better now. I have my yoga mat, and I'm good. Everything's good. I'm back doing my Pilates, and everything's fine, and the prescription was figured out, and everything's fine now. But I just kind of thought that it was a funny situation, in all this stuff that led up to this one yoga mat, and my credit cards being canceled, and having the blood test done, and just like everything was just like leading up on and rolling into a just like I'm definitely made a mountain out of a molehill. And so just calm down, just relax. That's the I don't know, my words of wisdom for this vlog is don't make a mountain out of a molehill. Don't cry over a yoga mat. Or that sounds silly, but like I expressed how Pilates is really like the only thing that I do for myself, and I really like Pilates. And without a yoga mat, doing it on the mat or doing it on like the carpet is really uncomfortable. You can get rug burns, etc., etc. So this is, I think, my longest vlog, and it's just been a story, and I hope you guys enjoyed the story at least a little bit, or kind of understand it, or I don't know. I don't know. I just thought I'd share. So I will peace you guys off and leave you with that little piece of information, that story. Alright, peace off, guys.